Yeah, sorry guys, my network was a bit bad. Yeah. So now can you see my screen? So is it visible now? Already. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, this is what we were seeing. So in order to start our application like npm application, so in order to start with a particular node or whatever the application is, okay, so you need to give something called npm init. Okay, so npm init, as the name gives here, so it suggests us it is going to initialize a particular folder. For example, we have a folder something called GUI batch 241 weekday. Okay, so in order to initialize that particular repository or that particular folder, should have something called something like npm. Okay, so we need to give something called npm init. Okay, so when you give that, so it will ask us certain questions. Okay, one is, so what is the package name? And package name is nothing but, so basically it's something like application. So, no, the commands doesn't will not differ in Windows or other things. Okay, so the command stays same in whatever the platform that you are. Okay. So now whenever you start your application, so you need to give something called npm init. It will ask certain questions on something like what is a package name. So consider you are going to develop an application, and that particular application will have certain name, right? So that's the name here you need to mention here. Okay, so the package name. So I have something called GUI app as a name. Okay, so if you don't mention this, it will take your current folder name. Okay, so the default value. Then you need to mention certain versions. Okay, so if you mention certain version, it will take, by default it's 1.0.0, and same applies for description for your application. And entry point, as I mentioned, the first file that is going to be executed. So whenever you run your application. Okay, so the my first file that I mentioned here is index.js here. Okay, the same way you can have any name, something like app.js or server.js, and whatever the name that you give here. Okay, same. Then the test command. So test is nothing but it's going to be like a QA thing. Okay, so we need not concentrate much on them. The same applies to your Git repository, keywords, and other things. Like you can give, even you can give your name here. Okay, so the author of your application. So this particular application, for example, you are going to build here, right? So you can give your name. So I can give my name here. Okay, and license. So license is nothing but there are two types of license. One is ISC and one is MIT. Okay, so this is something like a default value that's been given by your npm itself. Okay, so you can have this value, or you can have another value, something like this. Okay, so this doesn't affect your application in any other way. Okay, so we need to follow certain license. Okay, so we can have any default value, or you can have something called MIT here as well. Okay, so once it is done, okay, that's it. Okay, so you just need to give a enter after everything has been filled. Okay, so once this is done, see, there is a file being generated here, something called package.json. Okay, so see here, so what
So,
are the
Tamil 7.
details? Yeah,
Sorry to interrupt. Like, should I do the same like what you're doing?
no. So you just have this in your mind and you try out in after the session.
Okay.
Yeah, so I will give you the commands and what are all the things, the resources, the links. So here we have the topics that we discussed, right? So the references and the commands as well, I will give it today. Okay, I just want to show you or explain how these particular commands work. Okay, so you can practice yourself, and this might be helpful in your Node.js and React.js sessions. Yeah. Okay, so so this is what we were seeing. So now we saw something called npm init. Okay, so what is the purpose of it? To initialize your app. Okay, so what is the app that we gave here? Okay, so I told you, right, whenever you give npm init, it will ask you for certain questions. So what are all the app name and other things? Okay, those details will be placed in your package.json. Okay, so what it means is it is just something like a metadata. Okay, so for example, the basic information of your application. For example, if you are going to generate, or if you're going to build something like application, something like student management system or e-commerce application, whatever the things. Okay, so those particular metadata will be available here. For example, what is the name of the app, what is the version, what is the description, and what is the main here, the entry point that we gave here, right? The same. Then we have something called who is the author and what is the license and other things here. Okay, and I will come in short for the scripts and other things. Okay, so this is the basic thing. So whenever you start with your npm initialization, okay, so you can give any name and it will generate you a package.json, and that particular package.json is nothing but it's nothing but a metadata of your application. Okay, so that's what your package.json does here. Okay, suppose, okay, so there are some default values. For example, you can set these values like author, license, and what are the things. Okay, you can mention in a particular default. You can take it as a default value. For example, I'm going to delete this. Okay, so now my application is empty. Okay, I didn't have any npm repository here. Okay, so the same command npm init, and there is something called a flag here, something called -y. Okay, or you can give something like -yes. Okay, so if you use short form, you can use single hyphen and y. If you want to mention something, if you want to use multiple hyphens here, I need to mention something like full flag name. Okay, here. Okay, so what it means is, it means you are giving yes to your all the questions that the npm init raises on you. For example, it raises something called package name. It will ask you for the versions, right? So it will take the default value if you give something called -y. Okay, so if I generate this, okay, see here now, the same applies here. Okay, the default value has been taken. For example, for author and the license and names and other things. Okay, see, the default value has been taken. Okay, now for author and other things. Okay, for example, if you come into a particular application, or this is your system, right? So you are going to be an author of your application. Okay, so you can set them in your default values. Okay, so now how to set the default values? So that's the question here. Okay, so there is something called npm config here. Okay, so next command. So we saw what is npm init, and we saw what is something called npm init with -y, or you can mention something like -yes here. Okay, so it will take your default value as I mentioned you earlier. Okay, so how to set the default values? So that's the question here, right? So here npm config. Okay, so this is the basic command. Okay, npm config, something like we have npm, you need to initialize our application, right? So this is something like npm config is to give some or set your configurations. Okay, so npm config here. Okay, so what you're going to do now, so you're going to give some default value, right? For example, here I can see my author name is empty because I haven't set anything in my configuration value. Okay, so that's what. So let's see. So get, okay, so init. Okay, so init, right? So init method and author name. Okay, so what it means is it will give the current config value that has been in your node.js or npm here. Okay, so currently it's empty. Okay, because that's why it is showing here something like empty value. Okay, so if you set this, okay, something like the same command. Okay, you need to use something called set now. Okay, so the same command here, I'm going to copy this. Okay, you need to use something called set here, and you can mention any values here, something like I can give my name here. Okay, and just copy this here, and now I'm just entering it here now. Okay, so if I run the same command here, now it should have some value here. Okay, so now what I'll do is, see here now, so I'm going to remove this again. Okay, and I'm going to give something called npm init-y. Okay, so now see, it takes my author value here by default. Okay, because you have set them in your default values of your default configurations of your npm. Okay, so how to set your configurations in your npm? So you need to use something called npm config, and if you want to get that particular value, you need to use something called get init author name. Same way, set init author name. Okay, suppose if you want to delete that particular thing. Okay, so delete your configuration the same as you assume. So here it should be delete. Okay, simple as that. So it will delete the default author name now, and it will generate a new thing. Okay, I mean, it will not have any values. It has something called blank value. Okay, the same applies for your for another and for another instance. For example, if I want to set some other license here, okay, I can have the same here. Okay, so I will copy this. So I'll have the commands here. Okay, so init. So what is the thing that you are going to modify? So your license here, right? So you can have something called license. Okay, the same applies here in your author name. You can give any name. So I can give something called MIT here. Okay, the same applies here. So for example, if I go here and paste this, so currently it's ISE, and that's why my value here it is ISC. Okay, suppose if I want to modify this to MIT, I can copy this. Okay, and I can have something like npm config set init license. Okay, and I'm going to print it again. So now it's MIT. Okay, so now if I go on to see here now, so I'm going to delete this and generate the things again. Okay, so npm init -y. See, now it takes MIT. Okay, so this is how you need to set your configurations. Okay, so you can set some default configurations, or if you don't want to do that, and your configuration differs between each and every app. For example, when you go into a particular company or any particular organization, so you will be working on different type of applications, right? So you cannot set this particular thing. Okay, so you cannot have something like this, and your configurations are only for the initialization. Okay, so whenever you are building a new application, so basically building a new application will not be in our hands. Okay, so basically it will be in the architect level. Okay, but you need to know how it is. Okay, so the commands are, so in order to set the configuration, so npm config get set delete and that particular property names and versions and other things. Okay, so this is the basic things of your basic thing whenever you start your npm. Okay, so in order to start with init, then init with -s, so it means you are giving is to all your answers. So these are the commands that you are going to uh, set your default configurations. Okay, so far clear on these commands. So we saw two types of command. One is init and one is config. Is it clear? Can you please repeat? Yes, Patel. Sure. Okay. So I told you npm init, right? So here, so if I give npm init, what it will do? It will ask me certain questions, something like package name, version, and other things. Okay. So if we use something called npm init -y, what it will do is it will not ask you questions. Okay. Instead, it will take your default values. Okay. So what are all the default values? So I told you, right? Inside the brackets, there are these are all something like default values, right? So GUI batch 241 weekday and 1.0.0 and MID. These are all some default values, right? So that's the purpose of your npm init -y. Okay, so clear between the differences between them. So someone asked me a question. Okay, already. Okay, so now so now we are done with initializations and setting our configurations, and everything is ready now. Okay, so now let's move on to the next command. Okay, so the next command is I told you, right? So if I go here, suppose if I want to check certain packages, for example, so this is the basic package that we use for some manipulation. So I will search certain packages here. Okay, suppose I need to install this particular package and I need to use them in our application. Okay, so how can I do that? So that's the question here, right? So that's something called your install command. Okay, see here now. So currently your package.json has, I explained you these things. Okay, I'll explain you in short about this. Okay, so I explain these things as well. Now if you want to install a particular package, see npm install. Okay, the package name, for example, Lodash, or you can have any packages. You can search here like sum of two numbers. Okay, so you need to something like you need to come here. Okay, and there will be a package called sum of two digits. Okay, so you need to come here and just give this. Okay, it will install that particular package. For example, if you want to install, so I'm going to use something called Lodash here. So this is a particular package. Okay, so third party package. So once it has been installed, okay, so this is the command to install the particular package. That's what I told you. Okay, so now here you see something called dependencies, a new package, that's a new property that's been added to your package.json. So what it means is, so as the name here, something called dependencies, right? So you mentioned something called dependency. So whenever you install it, okay, it will add it to the dependencies. So what it means is your application is going to use this particular package called Lodash. Okay, and without this particular package, your application will not run. Okay, so that's the that is the meaning of your dependencies here. Okay, suppose if you have a particular package, for example, here I'm going to create a file called index.js. Okay, so what I'll do is so you don't confuse yourself with the with the syntax. Okay, so we will see them in depth in your Node.js. Okay, so I just want to show you something here. Okay, so what it means is your application is your index.js is using your method called Lodash. Okay, so I'm again repeating. Okay, please don't concentrate on the syntax. Okay, so we will be seeing in depth in your Node.js class. Okay, so I'm just going to show what is the purpose of your dependencies. Okay, so someone asked me, why do we use package and what will be in the package? So that's what. Okay, so suppose there is a logic that's been already built. Okay, so you need not build on your own, right? For example, sum of two numbers or certain array manipulations like array dot, for example, in JavaScript you have something called array.map or array.forEach and other things. Okay, so there is a function already that's been built. So those are something called inbuilt modules. Okay, so inbuilt packages. Same way, if you want to have them, get them from your third-party package. For example, as you are a developer, and same way there may be multiple developers around the world, and they might have written certain logics, and that might be useful for you. In that case, what you need to do, you just need that particular developer will have that particular package posted in npm. Okay, you can just install that particular package from npm and use it in your application. So that's the purpose of your packages. Okay, same way here, what I have done here is I have used something called Lodash. Okay, so Lodash is a package. So basically we use Lodash for some array manipulations and object manipulations and other things. Okay, something like it is something like utility function. Okay, so I took an example of that. Okay, so so whenever I use Lodash here, I'm going to use it in my application. So see here in my index.js, I use something called Lodash. Okay, so using that Lodash, so now without Lodash, so I have required here. Okay, so without Lodash, will my application work now? So that's the question here. So because you use Lodash here, my application is dependent on this particular package called Lodash. Okay, that's why it is added in the dependencies. Okay, so what is the dependency for your application? Lodash, a package that's been given by certain developer here. So certain developers here. Okay, so it's been developed by certain developers, and your application is dependent on that particular package. Okay, so that's why it's been added to the dependencies. Okay, same applies to you. For example, if you install any other package like npm install. So for instance, I go here. So this is going to give something a sum of digits, right? So I will install this particular package now. Okay, so I'm going to show you a sample. Okay, so now once it is done, so let it install. Just give me a minute. Okay, so now the package has been installed. Okay, so now you are going to use this particular package. Okay, so see, sum of digits has been added to the dependencies. What it means now, so just now I told you, right? Without this particular package, your application won't work. Okay, so what it means, so you have installed a particular package, and I'm going to load it here. Okay, so it gives certain function. Okay, see here now. So this is a one function. Again, I'm saying don't concentrate on the things here. Okay, so whenever you call this something like 1 2 3, okay, it will give the sum of your digits. Okay, so this is a logic that's been developed by certain developer, and you are using that particular logic. Okay, so so that's why it's been added to the dependencies here. Okay, and what is the version of that particular package? Okay, something called 1.3.0, and that's why here 1.3.0. Same applies to here. So if I go to Lodash here, so what is the current version of Lodash? 4.17.21. Same 4.17.21. Okay, so what is the dependencies now? So dependencies are nothing but without these packages, your application won't work. So you are mentioning in that way. Okay, it doesn't mean like so you have installed Lodash, but you haven't used it in your application in any part of your application. That doesn't mean like your application won't work without Lodash. Okay, so it means is whenever you install Lodash, it means you're going to use that particular Lodash package in your application, and that's why it's a dependency. Okay, so that's something called dependency. So what are all the package that you install that comes under dependencies here? Okay, so so far clear about the dependencies. So before going to the next topic. No, it won't be installed in your system. Okay, it will be in the current project only. Package JSON is a kind of documentation. Yes, kind of. Yeah. So it's something like that's what I told you, right? So metadata. So some key information about your application. So that's the purpose of your package.json. Yeah. So now this is a dependency. Okay. So there is one more thing called dev dependency. Okay. So what is the dev dependency here? So that's the question. So I'm coming here. Okay. So I'm going to install a particular package. For example, I can take some sample application, sample package like, so these are all something called, so I'll take this particular package, okay, something called ESLint. So what it means is if a particular package is only useful for your development purpose alone, not in the production. For example, in the runtime environment or in your production environment or your live environment where the users comes in and logged into your system, okay, you need not have that particular package. Okay, so that's those packages are something called dev dependencies. For example, the testing packages or your aligning the code, and those are all, there are some packages called ESLint. So ESLint is to align your code. Okay, so ESLint is a tool that is going to align your code in your application. Okay, so that is not going to affect any users, live users, right? So that's not going to affect any production environment, right? So it is only for the development purpose, right? And that's something called developer dependencies, and that's something called dev dependency. Okay, so the same npm install. So these are all some kind of packages. Okay, so ESLint. Okay, so how to mention that this is a developer dependency? Okay, so this is the command. Okay, save. Okay, so dev. Okay, what it means is save them as a dev dependency. Okay, so now I have dependency here. So dependency here. So what it means is, what is the dependency? Without these packages, your application won't work. Okay, meaning that these packages are used in your application in some part of the file here. Okay, what is the dev dependency? Dev dependency is nothing but, again, there is a package. They are also a packages, and your application depends on them, but only during the development time. Okay, so not during the production, or for example the live environment. Okay, it's only for the development purpose or the developing purpose. Okay, for example, one of the example for that particular package is ESLint. I told you, right? So ESLint is nothing but it is going to something, it will show you how to align the code and how to be format the code and other things. Okay, so this is going to it is not going to affect your live users, right? So that's something called developer dependency. So how to mention a particular package, a developer dependency? So npm install ESLint and say -- save dev. Okay, so if we do this, already, so now it's installed here. Okay, so if I go here, see, so there is one more property that's been added to your package.json, something called dev dependency. So that's what I told you. So these are all some dependencies, these are all some packages that is going to be used in your development purpose alone or the development environment alone. That is not anyway related to your application logic or other things. Okay, so that's the difference between dependencies and dev dependencies. Okay, clear on this before moving on to the next topic? So what we have see here, so npm install that particular package name here. Okay, so I can have something like package name here. Okay, and one more command, what I told you. So npm install this is going to be developer dependency. Okay, so before moving on to that, okay, so I need to mention something here. Okay, so what it means is, here I told you, right? So whenever I install a particular package, something called sum of digits here. Okay, so in the initial stages, like before node version 10, okay, So current node version is something called 14.17 here, right? So before node version 10, what happens here is, even if you install something like this, npm install sum of digits, okay, it will not add it to your dependencies. Okay, so basically, like, it will not add this particular line into your code, okay, in your packet JSON. Okay, so we'll be basically using something called -save. Okay, so what it means is, this is a dependency and save them to the packet.json. Okay, so this is something called before the version node 10. Okay, so I just want to tell you, because not every application currently is running in the latest version. Okay, so you need to know both the things. Okay, so if you want to, in the earlier versions of node, like before 10, what happens here is, if you don't mention anything, like if you mention something like this, it will install your package. Okay, but it will not add it to your dependencies. Okay, in order to add them to the dependencies, you need to use something called -save. Okay, and if you want to say same, if you want to have something called dev dependencies, you need to just have -save dev here. Okay, so this is what um, earlier Node.js was. Okay, but after Node 10, what they have made here is, whenever you use npm install something like package name here, they will automatically add it to your dependencies. Okay, only if you want to install like something like your dev dependency, you need to use something called save dev here. Okay, so I just want to mention you that, so I can have here this function as well. Okay, so this is normal dependency before node 10. Okay, so this is how you need to add your dependency. Same way, this is directly after node 10. So after node 10, what happens here? By default, it will add it to your dependency object here. Okay, and for your dependency for your dev dependency, you need to basically use this particular command itself. Okay, so there is something called before node 10 and other things. Okay, so clear on this, clear on the older versions of node. Can you move on to the next topic? Okay, thank you. Thanks for confirming. So please ask me if you have any questions. You can stop me at any time. Okay, I can explain you again. Okay. So what if I accidentally type wrong package name? Wrong package name. Okay, you can remove them. Okay, so I will come. I will come in the next step. Okay, so we just installed, right? So there should be a mechanism to remove also, right? So we have something called remove command as well. We will see that. Okay, so so now once I install certain packages, okay, so there will be some certain doubts in you. Okay, so there are some new things that's been added, something called package log.json, something called node modules. What are all these things? Looks something like looks weird, right? So what happens here is, okay, I'll save this first. I mean, I will miss them. So npm.txt. Okay, so I'll have them. Okay, so you can see whenever I installed a package, for example, I'm going to remove this. See here now. So I will show you again. So I'm going to remove this. Okay, so in the packet adjustment also, I'm going to remove everything. Okay, I'm not going to have anything here. So fresh. Okay, how it was initially, that's the same thing here. Okay, only thing is I have something called npm txt. Okay, and I can remove these things also. Okay, so that's not an issue. So my application is fresh now. Okay, so now I told you, in order to install a particular package, I need to use something called npm install. Okay, so I have installed a particular package. See the files here, files over here. Okay, okay, so now see, two things has been added. One is something called package log.json, and one is something called node modules. Okay, so what are all these things? So that's the thing here. Okay, so see here, you have installed something called sum of digits. Okay, so sum of digits. So this is a particular application. So in your application, you use something called sum of digits as a dependency. Okay, same way, sum of digits may use a third-party package from npm, right? So there is a possibility, right? So that's the thing here. Okay, so if we go on to package log.json, okay, so here I'm going to that particular package, something called sum of digits. Okay, here this is a particular package. Okay, and here see it depends on a particular package called Babel CLI. Okay, so what it means is whenever you use sum of digits, it has some dependencies with Babel CLI. Okay, same way if you click on Babel CLI, that particular package will have certain dependency in them. Okay, see here, so it has some packages. Okay, so each and every package that is dependent on each and everything will be listed here in your package log.json. Okay, so that's the thing. See here now, watch it clearly. My application use something called sum of digits. Okay, but sum of digits is again a package, right? It might use a different package from your third-party application, right? Same way, sum of digits is dependent on a package called Babel CLI. Okay, so you can come here in the documentation. So you can come here, dependency here. Okay, and you can see there is one dependency. Same way, these are all something called dev dependency. Okay, so I told you what's the difference between them. Okay, sum of digits is again an application that has a dependency called Babel CLI. That particular Babel CLI will have some dependency, something called commander, convert source map, and other things. Okay, same way this particular package will have certain dependencies, something like if I go to commander. Okay, so for example it doesn't have any dependency. So if you go on to any other so for example let's go here. Okay, okay, so this is one sort of an example. Okay, so that particular package will have certain dependencies. Okay, so in a broader way. Okay, so all those packages will be installed inside your node modules here. Okay, that's why, so when you install sum of digits here, see this much of package has been installed in your node modules. Okay, so someone asked me, so where are these packages been installed? Okay, so this is a place. Okay, there will be a folder called node modules. Okay, inside that, whatever the package that you install, that will be available inside this particular package. For example, you have installed sum of digits, right? So sum of digits should be available here. Okay, see, sum of digits. So this is the package. That particular package may be dependent on another package. For example, I told you Babel CLI. Okay, so Babel CLI. So at Babel CLI will be installed. See, at Babel CLI has been installed, and that particular package will have some dependencies. So same way, all those dependencies will be installed in your node modules. Okay, and those trackings will be inside your package log.json. Okay, see, so your dependencies Babel CLI, and that particular package will have certain dependencies. Okay, so all the packages will be shown here. So they see how much package that's been installed here. Okay, so in short, okay, what I'll do is, see here now, I'll delete this. I'll delete this again. I'll show you a simple example now. Okay, so I'll remove this. Okay, see now, I'm going to Lodash. Okay, so this is a package. Consider this is a sample package. Okay, so what are all the dependencies that it have? See, it doesn't have any dependencies. Okay, so if I install Lodash, what should be installed inside my node modules? Only the Lodash package should be installed. See here now. So npm install Lodash. Okay, so now see, inside my node modules, okay, only Lodash is the only folder that's been shown here. Okay, so in general I can show it here. Okay, so this is the folder, right? So it's inside node modules. See here, only no Lodash folder is been present here. Okay, same way, if you want the package log.json, only my application I have only my Lodash dependencies. Okay, but if you go to any other package like sum of digits, like I told you, that sum of digits. Okay, if you install this particular package, okay, it has some dependencies, something like this, and this particular package will have some dependencies, and that particular package will have some dependencies. All those dependencies will be listed inside your node modules, and same tracking should be available inside your package log.json. Okay, clear on the package log.json and node modules? Can everyone confirm? So this is a basic. So whenever you go to any interview, they will ask this question. So what is the purpose of your package.json, and what is the difference between package.json and package.log.json? And then they will ask where your modules will be stored, something like node modules and other things. So they will ask these questions. So these are all some major things. Okay. So who will create dependencies? Who should create? So who developed that particular package should create those dependencies. For example, so dependencies are nothing but, for example, I use Lodash here, right? So if I use Lodash in my application in any part of the file, it means my application is dependent on Lodash. Okay. So that I am the one mentioning my dependency. Same way for sum of digits. So sum of digits uses some logic from Babel CLI. Okay. That's why it has been dependent here. Okay. And that's why those packages have been installed. Okay. Alrighty. So now we are done. So we are done with certain things. So we have installed a particular package and everything is done. Okay. So what I will do is I will add one more dependency. Okay. So this is one more dependency. Okay. I will show you one more dependency now. So ESLint. Okay. I told you, right? So the dev dependency. So if you install dev dependency, see ESLint uses 40 packages. Okay. So these packages will be installed in our node modules as well. Okay. And those trackings will be available inside your package log.json. And that particular packages may have a dependency on another packages as well. And those things will also be installed. Okay. See npm install ESLint save. It's a dev dependency, right? So this is only for the development purpose. Okay. So that's why some packages take more time, and some packages might take some time. Okay, see, Lodash, only one package. I told you, right? Lodash doesn't have any dependency, so one package only installed. In the case of ESLint, see, 118 packages has been installed. So see now, here in the package log.json, see how many dependencies. Same way inside node modules, see, your 119 packages is being installed inside here. Okay, so that's the thing now. Okay, so now we are clear about how your installation process is done and where the package has been stored. Okay, so what is a dependency and what is a dev dependency? Okay, so these are all the things that we know now. Okay, so now let's move on to the next topic. Okay, suppose, for example, this is just a normal example. Okay, Lodash. Okay, but in the case of real time, whenever you start building an application for your company, okay, you will have n number of dependencies. For example, around something like 100 packages or 50 packages, that much count you will be having it in the dependencies. Same way inside your dev dependencies. Okay. So those particular dependencies. So what is a dependency? So whenever you install Lodash, particular code is been the Lodash code has been installed inside your folder called node modules, right? So Lodash. So those code will be installed here. Same way, if you install like 100 packages, how your node modules will be? So it will be like a big chunk of data, right? So basically what we'll do is we never share our code, like share our node modules to any of the developers. Okay. So we basically share our package log.json. I mean, only the package.json and our source code. Okay. Not the package log.json or node modules. Okay. So then how the developer will do that? Okay. Suppose if I have used Lodash here. Okay. But my code is not in my load here, right? So there is a command called npm install. Okay, very generic. Okay, so you need not mention any package name. What it means is whenever you use npm install, it will install all the packages inside your dependency. It will install all the packages inside dev dependency. Okay, and have the new folder created. Okay, see now. Okay, see 119 packages has been installed. Okay, see now package of JSON will have the same thing and node modules will have the same thing. Okay, so basically what it means is we will be storing our code in any other repositories, right? So our application code will be stored in certain place like in the cloud or whatever the things. Okay, so we will not store our node modules or package log.json and others because these can be generated. Okay, but when the package.json is the metadata, so using this particular package.json, you can have all your application, all your packages installed. Okay, just give the command something called npm install, very generic command. Okay, you need not mention uh, any other names of the packages. Okay, because for example, if you share this particular code to your peer developer, okay, so he need not come here and install each and every package one after another, like npm install lodash, npm install esn and other things. Okay, you can just give npm install, it will install all the packages inside your dependencies and their dependencies. Okay, so if you use so many packages, won't it make the code heavy and inefficient with lots of code? No, that's not the case. Okay, so basically not every logics will be using the third-party package. Okay, for example, if you want to use your, for example, our next classes or the upcoming classes will be based on your React, right? So if you go on to React here, okay, so you need to install this particular package. So without this particular package, you can start with your React, right? Same way, React might have some dependencies, something called loose env find object assign. So if you go on to the particular package, it will have certain dependencies. Okay, so that's how dependencies are being built. Okay, so without them, you cannot build. Okay, same way, if you want to see like something like bootstrap. Okay, so bootstrap components and for example mongodb, so everything will be available here, something like mongodb, your mysql, every package. So without this you cannot start your application. So that might not be like for some sample application, you need not like install something like for example, if you want to do some array manipulations, okay, you need not install any third-party applications there. Okay, so basically what happens in your real-time scenario or in your company is we will not install all the packages here, like come here and search for something like sum of two numbers, okay, and install that particular package. Okay, we never do that. Okay, I just told you an example. We always choose the packages, okay, that are verified and that are professional. Okay, for example, ESLint is very professional, and there is these are all something like a friend for your coding. Okay, same way if you want to use React. Okay, so if you come here, so React, so this has been developed by Facebook. React has been developed by Facebook, right? So these are some professional packages. Okay, so you need to consider only those kind of packages alone. Okay, so you need not consider like all the for you should not use. Okay, so it's not like consider, it's you should not use all the packages. Always consider a professional packages, like a professional developer who have developed, or an organization, something like React.js or Bootstrap or your Materialize or what other things. Okay, so Lodash is one other thing. So if you use Lodash, okay, so these are all some popular packages and they have some supports in them. Okay, so that's the thing. So it will not be like code heavy. Okay, so that's not an issue at all. So will it install even if the dependency version is older? Yes. So whatever the version that you mentioned here, it will install that particular version alone. Okay, so that's the purpose of mentioning that particular version. Okay, so now can anyone answer? Yeah.
Just I have a doubt. Tamil, like I have a doubt. Like, see, in the here you had mentioned the dependencies. Lodash is a fourth version, 4.717. Okay.
Yes.
This new version got updated.
Yeah.
So at
yeah.
At the time, it will automatically synchronize the new version. Otherwise, again we have
no. So we have some upcoming comments. I will show you that in short.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So if you mention certain version, something like this, and it will stick to this particular version. Okay. So if you want to upgrade particular version, okay, so we have some other commands to update them. We'll see in short. So that's not an issue. Okay. So now. So now you're clear about the difference between package.json and package log.json, right? So someone asked me the difference between them. So package.json is a metadata for your application. Package log.json, in short, what can I say is package log.json is a metadata for your dependencies. For example, Lodash, ESLint, okay, those packages and those dependencies will be listed inside your package log.json. Okay, so this is not the metadata of your application. So package log.json is a metadata for your dependencies, Lodash, ESLint, and other things. Okay, clear on the difference between them? So someone asked me in private. Is it clear? Okay, yeah, thanks for confirming. So now let's move on to the next thing now. Okay, so we are done with installation. Okay, so obviously, so now I told you, right? In the case of your production environment, okay, I told you whenever you use npm install, okay, it will install all the packages inside your dependencies and dev dependencies. Okay, all the packages. Okay, suppose in the production environment or your live environment, in that scenario, you don't need your dev dependencies to be installed, right? That's the scenario, right? So why do we need something called npm install here? Okay, so that's the question here, right? So there is a flag. Okay, so in the case of production environment, we need to install only our this particular dependencies alone, not the dev dependencies. Okay, as it is not going to affect any of the users. Okay, so now in that case, just give npm install. Okay, and so what I'll do is I'll remove these things again. Okay, so I removed this. Okay, so I will give this particular thing. Okay, package.json now. Okay, so if I do npm install, what will happen? My both the Lodash and ESLint will be installed. Okay, but in the case of production, we don't need our development dependencies, right? We need to install only Lodash, right? So in order to do that, there is a particular flag called prod. Okay, so --prod. If you mention this, what will happen? What will happen here is this is going to be installed in a production environment, and it will install only the packages that is inside your dependencies, not the dev dependency. Okay, so if I run this, see, only one package has been installed here. Okay, see, inside my package log, inside my node modules, see here, I have only my Lodash. See, only Lodash has been listed here. Okay, but in the case of package log JSON, it will have the tracking of each and every libraries that you have in your application. Okay, so it will have certain versions and all those tracking, but it will not install in your node module section. Okay, so inside node modules there is only Lodash. Okay, not other packages. Okay, so how to do that? That is something called npm install -prod. Okay, so this is basically we'll be using it for our production environment. Okay, so this is going to npm install and this is going to npm install. Okay, clear on the installation part. So we are done with our installation now. Clear on this? Can everyone confirm difference between npm install and npm install -prod? Okay, thanks. So now so we just installed it. Okay, so the same command, if you want to uninstall them, just give npm uninstall. Okay, and that particular package name, very simple. Okay, so if I want to uninstall ESLint, come here, npm uninstall ESLint, simple as that. Okay, so it will be uninstalled here. See, package.json doesn't have any other data, only Lodash. Inside my node module is also only Lodash. Okay, the same command. Okay, only thing is you need to use something called npm uninstall. Okay, so npm uninstall that particular package name. Okay, that's it. Okay, so that's the thing. So now before moving on to the, someone asked me the question. Okay, so I have something called 14.17.221. Okay, suppose I have some older version, for example, so I need to install a older version. Okay, so the versions will be here. Okay, so latest versions like 17 and 19. Okay, so here I have 4.17.21 now, the latest version. Suppose if you want to install only that particular version, in that case, how to do that? Okay, so npm install Lodash. See the syntax. You need to give something called @. Okay, so @ and that particular version name. For example, 4.17 point. Okay, here the latest version is 21, right? I can install any other version, something like 15. Okay, I can give 15. Okay, so if I give this, okay, see, now my version is 4.17.15. Okay, so this is how we need to mention, or this is how we need to install a particular version. So npm install that particular package name at and that particular version number. Okay, so what is the command to install a particular package here? Like a particular version, npm install package name and that particular version. Okay, at that particular version already. Okay, yeah, we are done now. Okay, so now we are going to see update. Okay, so someone asked me like if I want to update the particular package, for example, now it's 4.17.15. In later point of view, they might have updated something like current version is 4.17.21. Okay, so before that, you need to know semantic versioning. So there is a concept called semantic versioning. Okay, I'll go here. So semantic. So this is something called your semantic versioning here. Okay, so I will use this example. Okay, so before explaining the update things, okay, so I need to explain these things. Okay, you have something called 4.17.15. Okay, something like version here. Okay, so do you know how the versions have been generated here? Okay, so there is a reason behind each and every number here. Okay, first thing is just split that particular number. Okay, the first thing is nothing but something called major version. Okay, and the second thing is something called minor version. And the last thing we basically say it as patches. Yeah, correct, patches. Okay, so this is how you work in your real-time application. For example, this is your application now. Okay, so you have something called GUI batch 2. So I will have something in GUI app here, and you have certain versions here. Okay, something like when this is the initial version. Okay, suppose now what you'll do is there comes a bug in your application. Okay, so some users are reporting to you. Okay, in that case you will fix that particular bug. Okay, and modify this number. See here, this particular number. Okay, not this number or not this number, something like this. Okay, so what it means is, if there is a bug fix, okay, some common bug fix, we will increase this particular number. Okay, so that's why here 17, this 15. Okay, and if there is something like minor change, like some small features, some minor changes, okay, in that case we will increase this particular number. Okay, something like this here. So initially it was 1.0.0 here. Okay, so I have this concept here. Okay, 1.0. So your application has been done. Okay, suppose you have created an application, and the current version, the initial version would be something like 1.0.0, right? Okay, so now there's a bug in your application. Okay, and you have given the fix, and now the current version is, you need to increase this particular number. Okay, not any other numbers here. Okay, that's something called semantic versioning. Okay, semantic version is nothing but based on the changes that you do to your application, you need to increase your versions. Okay, so for example, you take okay, I'll come in this way. So now you have given a fix. This is an order. See here, first is I'm going to I have just give a bug fix. Okay, so there is a bug in my application. I just gave the bug fix here. Okay, so initially it's for 1.0. There is a bug fix happening here. Okay, so I will change it to 1.0.1. Okay, again I'm getting another bug fix here. Okay, what I will need to do, what I need to do exactly, so 2. Okay, so now a particular changes has been made in your application. Okay, for example, a drastic change. Okay, for example, how can I say that? Okay, so your application was initially in something like MongoDB, then you have moved them to a different database. Okay, so now what should be here? So which things need to be changed? Exactly. So some minor changes. These are some minor changes we basically do. Okay. So this will be the version. Okay. So we need to increase this particular number. Why? We just give some technical changes inside our application. Okay. Some technical changes, something like changing the database and other things. Okay. Now we are going to release a big version. Okay. For example, we saw something called Robot 1.0, right? So we saw a film called Robot 1.0. Okay. So then they have made a entirely different story that is going to handle something like the mobile communications and birds and other things. Okay. So it's a different story. Okay. So that's why they have moved them to a big story. I mean, a big change. And that's why it's something called 2.0. Okay. So that's the purpose of your 2.0 here. Okay. So major changes to your application, change this particular number. So 2 point. So now the version would be 2 point C 2.0.0. Whenever you change your version here, okay. Oh, I mentioned here, right? I forgot to mention here. Okay. So you have made some technical changes here, right? Okay. So you have change this number. Okay. Then it will reset this to this number. Okay. So this is 0.1, 0.2. Then you have made a technical change and updated this to one here. Okay. 1.1. So now it's a new stage now. So now if any bug fix come here, so if any bug fix come here, what will happen? So it should be 1.1.1. Okay. Again, if there is a bug fix comes here, so it's 1.1.2. Then if I do some technical changes here, so what will happen? It's going to be 1.2.0. Okay. Suppose if I do a major change, something called 2.0. Okay. So that's the thing. So this is something called your semantic versioning. Okay. So we basically have this example. Okay. So as a developer, you need to know what is a semantic versioning. Okay. So this is clear, right? So now, so the same applies here whenever you update a particular package. Okay. See here now, whenever I install a particular package, okay, see here now, there is a caret symbol here. Okay, so what is the purpose of it? So what it happens here is there is a command, something called update. Okay, see, watch it clearly. Watch it clearly the difference. Okay, so npm update low dash. Okay, if I do this, what will be the version here? Any guesses? So if I use npm, this is the command to update your package. Okay, so if I use npm update low dash, what will happen? So I'll do that here. What is happening here? No changes at all. Okay. So now see, latest version has been installed. Okay. So now this is the purpose of the particular caret symbol here. Okay. So now if we don't mention this caret symbol, okay. So someone asked me, right? Suppose if I want to upgrade the version, okay. So whenever you give a particular, whenever you once you have done created, once you are done with your application, or once you started or completed your development completely, okay. So we will remove this particular arrows and other things here, okay. Because if I give this particular version here, okay. So if I give this, okay. So once consider initially it was 18, right? Okay. So if I give this with the particular arrow here, I mean caret symbol here, if I give this to a developer, or if I install this particular in later point of time, if they use something called npm install, what it will do is it will take the latest version and install in their application. Okay. So our application is built using 4.17.18. Okay. 4.17.18 will have certain features inside them. Okay. For example, we used a feature in that is in 4.17.18. Okay, but that particular feature or for that particular function may not exist in later point of time. Okay, like something like 4.17.20 or 4.18 and other things. Okay, so if you use this particular caret symbol here, what it will happen here is whenever you give this packet or JSON to your peer developer, or if you install that into your production environment, it will take the latest version and install them. Okay, so for example, so this is something called 4.17.18. Okay, so that's the purpose of your caret symbol. Okay, so once you develop your application and it is stable, okay, you need to remove this. Okay, because your application is running using 4.17.18. Okay, so it should not affect in any places when you upgrade that particular version. Okay, so it's stable, so the application is stable using 4.17.18 here. Okay, so now if I use npm update lodash, see the version still in the same point of time here. Okay, see here now it's already 4 point something like 17.18, right? It will stay still lies the same here. Okay, no changes at all. Okay, clear? So whenever you use caret symbol here, okay, it will update to the latest version. That means latest major version. So I told you here, right? So here, so something called 1.1.2 and other things, right? So what is the latest version of Lodash here? Your 4.17.21. So whenever you use caret symbol here, if you update your npm something like npm update lodash, it will update to the latest version. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll install one more package, something like, for example, I'm going to 4.16 now. Okay, something like 4.16.0. so I'm going to npm, see, watch it clearly, npm install lodash at, so 4.16.0 now. Okay, so sorry, 4.16.0 now. Okay, so I have installed this particular package now. Okay, so my application now works with 4.16.0. Okay, and see this particular caret symbol now. Okay, so it will automatically append, right? Okay, so if I if I use npm update lodash, so as we expected, it will install to the latest version. Okay, suppose, okay, suppose I will have it in this way. Okay, so I will install it again, so at 4.16.0 again. Okay, and I am going to remove this. Okay, 4.16.02, something like this. Okay, so now if I do update here, see, sorry, see, it will not do any changes at all, because you have just mentioned a particular version. Okay, so npm update lodash, so something like this. Okay, suppose if you want to stay them in their minor version. Okay, so I told you, right? So what is the minor version here? So any answers? So what is the minor version? So if 2.0, consider this is a version. Okay, so 2.0.3. okay, so what is the minor version here? Okay, see now. Okay, so in the case of caret symbol, okay, so this is what earlier it was. Okay, if I use tilde, okay, so tilde symbol, see the symbol here, tilde. Okay, so if I do npm update, see, it is installed to the latest patch version. Okay, so latest, sorry, I told you minor version, right? It's not minor version. Okay, so it's patch version, so latest patch version. So what is the latest patch version of your 4.16? So inside 4.16, the latest patch version is 4.16.6. okay, so if you use caret symbol here, so this is what initially. Okay, so if I do this, okay, so see, watch it clearly. Okay, so now it is 4.16.0 now. Okay, if I use caret symbol, what will happen? It will install to the latest version. Okay, so npm update lodash, so latest version, whatever the latest version, that will be installed it here. Okay, suppose if I mention something like this, okay, I am reverting them. Okay, so I have reverted to again 4.16.0 now. Okay, now in the case of your caret symbol, I use tilde. Okay, so if I use tilde, what will happen here is it will install to the latest patch version. For example, what is the latest of 4.16? It's 4.16.6, right? So that's the latest version of your 4.16, right? So that will be installed. See now, so npm update lodash,
See 4.16.6. Okay, so that's the difference between having a tilde symbol and having the caret symbol. Okay, so now you are going to answer me. So what is the purpose of your tilde symbol, caret symbol? Update to latest version. Okay, what is the purpose of tilde symbol? Update to latest patch version. Okay, update to latest patch version of that particular minor version. That's the thing. Okay, so this is the minor version, right? 4.16, right? So 4.16's latest patch version. Okay, so update to latest patch version of that particular minor version. Okay, yeah. So for clear on this, so clear on the update commands. Okay, so what is the command that we saw here? Npm update and that particular package name. Yeah, so now we are done. Okay, so clear on the update part. Can everyone confirm? Can you move on to the next thing? So we have one more thing to be covered today. So okay, yeah. So now, so the basic commands that we have covered all the basics command. Okay, so this is what we are going to use in your Node.js part, and this is what you are going to use in your React.js and whatever the application that you're going to develop. Okay, so these are the commands. So basic command is npm install, update, uninstall, and update and npm config, init, and other things. Okay, so nothing new. Okay, so these are all the things that you are going to use. Okay, so basic thing. So now this is one last thing that we need to cover here. Okay, so there is something called scripts. Okay, so here you can write any scripts in your application. Okay, for example, what I'll do is I'll have something called index.js. Okay, here. Okay, I'm just going to console this. Okay, so hello GUI. Okay, so I have a file called index.js and it is just consoling hello GUI. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this application. Okay, so I'm going to show you an example. Okay, so this is basically with Node.js. Okay, so you need not confuse yourself. So in order to so what you need to have in your mind is, in order to run your Node.js particular file, you need to use something called node, that particular file name. Okay, so this is how we need to run that particular application. For example, in the case of Python, we need to use something called Python on particular name, right? Okay, so same way here, node index.js. If you run this, it will run the particular hello GUI. Okay, so that's the thing. Whatever the files inside that, it will be running. It will run. Okay, so now this is something called a script. Okay, suppose this particular script, right, node index.js, I can have them inside my packet.json. Okay, for example, I can have any name, something I can have something called start here. Okay, so in order to start, I will have something called node index.js. Okay, so whatever the command inside your this particular thing. Okay, so basically what are the command that you use inside your command prompt? For example, ls. These are some basic commands, right? So something like make directory and other things, right? You can mention whatever the command line, whatever the thing that you run into your command line, you can give it inside your script section here. You can have any name here, like something like start, or you can have something called GUI, and you can run certain things like something like echo or whatever the thing. Okay, so you can give any commands that you run in your command that you run in your command prompt. Okay, so I just told you, right? So in order to run the particular application, I need to use something called node index.js. Okay, instead of having that type, okay, I can have that particular script inside my scripts. Okay, and I am giving a name called start. Okay, so if I give start and give particular command here, okay, that particular command will be executed. For example, so how to run that particular command? Npm that particular script. Okay, start script. Okay, see hello GUI. Okay, so that particular command line argument has been running here. Okay, so it's printing hello GUI. Okay, So same way, you can add any commands. For example, now for testing purpose, you can have something called any other thing like just and other things. Okay, you can give anything. For example, you can have for list all files. You can have something called list. Okay, so see the things here. So what is the purpose of ls? Okay, it will list all the files inside your directory, right? So basic command, so basic computer command. Okay, ls. Okay, so how to run this particular command? Can anyone answer? Without ls, I need to run this command. How to do that? So npm list. What is happening here? So it is going to give some other things here. See, because list is nothing but a inbuilt command. Okay, so if you use npm list, what it will do is it will list all your dependencies inside your packet.json. Okay, so you cannot use some inbuilt commands of your npm. Okay, so npm list is nothing but a command that is going to list all the packages in your application. That's why you cannot use list here. Okay, you can have any other name. For example, list files. Okay, so I will have something like this. So now if I run this, what will happen? So how to run this command now? So npm list files, right? So if I run this, will it list? Can anyone guess? See, it will throw me an error. Okay, so that's what you need to have in your mind. See here now, these are all the things. Okay, so see here now, these are all the things only you can use inside your scripts here. Okay, see now, only these kind of values you need to use inside your scripts. Okay, so for example, if I use something called, I can take anything, something like token. I'll take this. Okay, so token, and I can have something like inside that I can have something called ls. Okay, just a name. Okay, so these are all the only reserved keywords that needs to be used inside your scripts. Okay, so these keys, right? So this is a basic javascript object, right? This key, the scripts inside that particular object will hold only this particular value. See, start. Okay, so that's why I am able to run something called start, npm start, something like this. Okay, same way I can use now npm token. Okay, so what happens here? I told you, right? So token is an inbuilt command now. Okay, so it's going to list here. Okay, suppose if you want to use something like custom command, how can I do it? So for example, I can have GUI here. Okay, suppose if I want to run this, how can I do that? Okay, same command npm GUI here. Only thing is you need to add something called npm run. Okay, so now see, you can have your custom commands here. Okay, but you need to add something called npm run before that particular script. Okay, if it is an inbuilt script, for example, these are all the inbuilt script. Okay, suppose if you want to check the inbuilt script, what you need to do is just go to npm help. Okay, this is the command here. Okay, npm help. Inside that it will show you all the commands. Okay, so using that commands you can have, so I told you, right? So npm version. Okay, for example, if you want to have npm version, it will list the particular your application version here. See here, GUI app is 1.0.0, your npm version and other things. Okay, so these are all something specific to your OS. Okay, so you need not concentrate much on them. Okay, it gives some metadata of your Node.js and the npm. Okay, so GUI app is 1.0, your npm version, your Node version, and other things. Okay, so you can try out these commands. Okay, so basically what you need to do is go here. Okay, npm help. Okay, so just run the script npm help. Okay, it will give all the things here. Okay, so all the valid keywords that you need to use. Okay, so I explained you install, I explained you uninstall, I told you start, I told you update. So these are all the commands that we saw here. See, so in my npm txt, we saw install, we saw uninstall, we saw update, we saw config, we saw init. See, where is the init here? So init, see init. So where is the config here? So config is here. Same way. Where is the install? Here. Uninstall, update, everything is here. Okay. There are other commands as well. So something like access, add users, audit, bin, and other things. Okay. But for our application, like when we develop as a developer, you need to know init, config, and other things only. Okay. But if you want to have some custom script run in your application, okay, you can have something like this, GUI, or any other name. You can have any something like this. Okay. And only thing is you need to use that name. You need to use something called run. Okay. So npm. So in the case of your inbuilt script, you can directly use npm start. Okay. But if you want to use custom script, you need to add a command called npm run and that particular script name. Okay. Simple. Yeah. Clear? Clear on this? Do you guys have any questions? Can everyone confirm? Yeah, if you have some time, you can go ahead and use these particular commands. Okay, so try out them if you have some time. But as a developer, you need to know this is basics. So you need to know these things. Okay, without this, you cannot proceed. Okay, so yes, yeah, that's it for today's session, and we will see that we will see other topics tomorrow. Okay, so basically your Node.js installation and the npm basics is done. So tomorrow it would be like a recap of JavaScript that is very specific to React. So what are all some JavaScript things that we use inside your React? Okay, you'll see them in action tomorrow. Okay, so sure. I'll do that. I'll do that. So I'll paste it here. So this thing, then I have the document already with me. So I have a notes here. So I follow, I usually give this to all the students in other batches as well. Okay, I have the I have written the documentation here as well. So it will be useful for you. Okay, so I will share you these things. So npm commands, npm commands, notes. Okay, I have shared you the both the things. Okay, so one is the session that we took today, so I will share it again. Okay, so topics that we covered. Okay, and the resource that I gave you. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and please fill out the feedback form here. Okay, so that would be helpful. And tomorrow's session timing might be in the morning. Not sure. So mostly it would be in the morning session, like 9 to 11, I think. Yeah. Thank you guys, and please fill out the feedback form and please try out these things. Okay, so these are all the basics. So without these commands we cannot proceed. Okay, so you need to know these commands so before starting React or Node.js and all other things. Okay, yeah, yeah. Thank you guys, see you tomorrow and all the rest.